Okay, lesson 12. The title of the handout you received is Prana. There's a lot of misunderstanding about prana. People say it's breath. But prana is energy, not breath. Actually, it's not just energy, it's vital energy. In Korea, you have the word ki. Ki energy. Ki energy is not just energy, it's vital energy. There is confusion with breath for two major reasons. One, air contains oxygen, which gives air vitality. The other reason is, I explained already in the previous, before we started the class, I told you we're going to make a transition from physical to energy control. And the reason why it's not possible to start with energy control at the beginning of the course is because for most people it's a new concept. We technically understand what energy is, but yoga actually leads to control of energy. And because energy is something that you cannot observe with your five gross senses, hearing, smell, taste, touch, and eyesight, it becomes complicated. Although energy is easy technically to understand, it becomes complicated when we talk about energy in the human being and the possibility to actually manipulate our energy balance. So it's important to understand that prana means vital energy. Pranayama means directing vital energy. Because of those two major reasons, mainly because people find it difficult to understand the concept of moving and controlling energy, everybody practices pranayama as breathing exercises. Why that is impossible, I will explain in lesson 19, because it is impossible. If you practice pranayama, the Hatha Yoga Pradipika describes Nadi Shodhana pranayama followed by 8 pranayama exercises. If you follow the instructions and you do it as breath control, you die. It's impossible. So I will explain that in lesson 19. What is important is that those exercises can all be done if you do it as energy control exercise. Not only that, there is a very logical build-up. There is a logic, step-by-step approach to the pranayama, dealing with the most basic problems and diseases people are dealing with, up to controlling energy for awakening consciousness. So first you heal the body with energy, and then you use energy to reach higher levels of consciousness. It's a very logical approach that most people, including yoga teachers, do not see. They don't see the logic. And as breathing exercise, it just doesn't work. So what is prana and how does it function in a human being? A lot of it I have explained already in the workshop and in lesson 3, the second Saturday that we had class. We had an extra subject that actually dealt with energy. So a lot of what is in the handout is already familiar. So you know that there are 2 elements to energy, Shiva and Shakti. There are 2 energy channels. These are the chakras. Let's just for practical purpose make them all circles. If you look at the model in the illustration, Ajna chakra is actually like a diamond or a gemstone, and Sahasrara chakra is like a flame, the flame of light or knowledge. But just for the sake of this purpose, to explain the energy flow, we just make them all circles. Now, Shiva energy above the head there is a Chandra Bindu. We call it a gate or an entrance, Chandra Bindu. Bindu is a gate. Chandra is the moon. So we call that the moon gate. Shiva energy enters through the moon gate. It enters through the moon gate and it flows downward. And it exits through actually, although Chandra Bindu is above the head, Surya Bindu is in the middle of Muladhara chakra. Surya Bindu. Now what does Surya mean? Surya Namaskar, sun, the moon and the sun. Shiva energy always flows from the top down, cannot flow up. The channel, the name of the channel through which Shiva energy flows, so Shiva, the channel through which Shiva energy flows is called Ida. Shakti energy, as you can guess, enters through Surya Bindu at the bottom and flows up. And exits through Chandra Bindu. Shakti flows up, can never flow down, and it flows through the channel called Pingala. You don't have to memorize this. Just understand the concept. So, this is simplified, subtle anatomy of the human being. There are not just two channels. There are, if you know a little bit about Korean traditional medicine, you know there are 72,000 energy channels. So they say. I never counted them, but this is just to understand. But once you start practicing pranayama, you can actually really feel that Shiva comes from the top and goes down, and Shakti goes from the bottom up. Okay, now in the universe there is a natural phenomenon that energy contracts and contracts and contracts. Energy becomes gas, gas becomes liquid, liquid becomes solid matter. The human being is the product of that. We talked about that before. But we exist out of energy, which is the spirit, gas, which is part of your body, liquid, which is part of your body. We exist for more than 60% out of water, and solid matter. So we contain all these elements. As a result of this process, people have a tendency to gravitate towards the bottom, literally. The lower chakras, which we talked about before also. I always repeat certain concepts because they're very important to understand. And if we talk about it only once, you forget. So I just keep repeating it. There are three bodies. The physical body, I don't want to make this too complicated, so the physical body is the lower three chakras. The mental body is Ajna chakra. No, I got it wrong. The physical body is the lower 5 chakras, up to the throat chakra. Ajna chakra is the mental body, and Sahasrara chakra is the spiritual body. Most people are functioning not just in the physical body, the lower 5 chakras, but because of, in the Bible, this concept is called the downfall. The downfall is the contraction of energy leading to gravitation to the bottom. In the lower 3 chakras, where most people function, are located all the lower emotions and desires. The reason why most people don't possess spirituality is because there is no energy there. It's all gravitating to the bottom. Yoga, people consider yoga to be a spiritual practice. It is, but it is much more than that. But one of the results of practicing yoga is that you reverse the downfall. You reverse the gravitation towards the bottom. So, what happens when you practice yoga correctly is sattva occurs, a balance between Shiva and Shakti energy. The interesting phenomenon that occurs when there is a relative harmony between Shiva and Shakti is there is a third channel opening up. You can see that also in the illustration. If you look carefully, you see that in the middle there is a third channel opening up. This channel is not functioning in unconditioned people, most people, because there is no harmony between Shiva and Shakti energy. If you practice yoga correctly, harmony occurs, and this channel then becomes activated. And the name of this channel is Sushumna Nadi. Sushumna Nadi. Nadi is energy channel. That brings us to the Kundalini effect. Everybody who has interest in yoga and read about yoga and talked about yoga with other people, everybody knows about the Kundalini or Kundalini effect. Now, symbolically, Kundalini is reflected as a snake that is coiled up, sleeping at the bottom of the spine. It's symbolism for what we call latent energy. This is prana. Kundalini is reinforced Shakti energy. So everybody possesses Shiva and Shakti energy. It's not harmonious, so there is no balance, so there is no phenomenon of Sushumna Nadi, so the snake just stays asleep at the bottom. Every person, everybody, has a potential to awaken the snake and let energy rise to fuel the higher chakras. But for that, you have to do something special. And that is yoga. And that is why it's so important to do yoga correctly. Because this does not happen if you keep moving, keep playing music, and keep talking. So, as a result of sattva, Sushumna Nadi comes into play, and the snake wakes up and starts to rise up. And spirituality is born in a very natural way. Consciousness opens up, awakens. You become more conscious. You become more sensitive as a result. The heart chakra is activated. And very important, your life is not dominated anymore, controlled anymore by these lower emotions and desires, which is something that everybody is struggling with without realizing it. Bringing energy up, stimulating or awakening the higher chakras, gives us the power of control over the lower chakras. So in a practical sense, it's hugely consequential in improving people's lives by allowing us to stop suffering from those lower emotions and desires that always lead to conflict, failure, unhappiness, negative emotions like anger and hatred and jealousy and greed and what have you. Every element of yoga is designed to control this process, to stop the downfall and to start allowing the snake to wake up. It's symbolism, so it's not really a snake, but to let that energy rise up and awaken the crown chakra. Yama and niyama already start this process, because yama and niyama make you aware of behavior that causes disharmony. So yama and niyama already lead you to become more harmonious, allowing Sushumna Nadi to open up. You reinforce that, you strengthen that with asana practice, if you do it correctly. I keep saying that. Then, when you have strengthened your body with asana, you then add pranayama, energy control to that, to strengthen the process even more, to deepen the sattva even more. And the finishing touch is meditation. So, every element of yoga is designed to bring about sattva, so that energy can rise up and cultivate the higher characteristic or the royal characteristic in the human being. Questions about this so far? Okay, now a very important point here. Shiva, many books and many yoga teachers say Shiva energy is masculine and Shakti energy is feminine. Why? Because Shiva is a male god. Shakti is the goddess of dance. It's a female goddess. And that's where they got it wrong. It shows that the author of the book that claims this, or the teacher that tells you this, has not been properly initiated into the secrets of yoga. Because Shakti energy, symbolically, Shakti is represented by a goddess, but it represents feminine energy. No, I'm saying it the other way around. Shakti is a female goddess, but it represents masculine energy. Shiva is a male god, but represents feminine energy. To explain this, I use the yin-yang model, and I explained that the eyes, the white eye in the black side and the black eye in the white side, is not just for decoration. It indicates that a human being has both qualities. As a man, I have feminine characteristics as well as masculine characteristics. As a woman, you also have masculine characteristics on top of your feminine characteristics. To reflect that reality, they have said Shakti is a female goddess, but she represents masculine energy. And Shiva, the Lord Shiva, represents female or feminine energy. Now, this is how I was initiated into yoga, but then you ask, but how can you confirm that this is true? Because maybe you learned that from your teacher, but your teacher can talk nonsense, right? So, to confirm that what I say is correct, you have to go to chapter 4 of the Hatha Yoga Pradipika, and there are various sutras that confirm what I'm telling you here. I have to look them up. Maybe it's chapter 3. Wait. It's in the beginning of chapter 4. chapter 4, Sutra 11, in the yogin in whom the Kundalini Shakti is awakened and who is free of all karma, the truly natural state comes into being on its own. Kundalini Shakti. You understand what this means? If Kundalini is the masculine variant of energy on steroids. Kundalini Shakti. It doesn't say Kundalini Shiva, it says Kundalini Shakti, which is the energy that goes from the bottom up. We have a lot more. This is actually chapter 3, Sutra 120. The yogin who moves the Shakti becomes the possessor of the siddhis. What further need be said? He conquers time, death as if it were mere play. The yogin who moves the Shakti becomes the possessor of siddhis. It doesn't mean anything to you yet, but siddhis are the royal characteristics or the higher characteristics that manifest in the crown chakra, which manifest because of the Kundalini effect, energy rising up, Shakti energy rising up. The sutra explicitly says the yogin who moves the Shakti. It doesn't say the yogin who moves the Shiva, the yogin who moves the Shakti. Sutra 119. So, one should move daily the Arundhati Kundalini. By merely moving her, the yogin is freed from diseases. The author of the book uses the word her. By merely moving her. Not him, not Lord Shiva, but the goddess Shakti. By moving her here at the bottom. The yogin is freed from diseases. Sutra 117. Doesn't use the word Shakti, but it says, by moving the Kundalini fearlessly for about an hour and a half, she is drawn into the Sushumna and upward a little. She is drawn into the Sushumna, the third channel, and upward. Yeah? She, Shakti, not Shiva. Sutra 111. By seizing the tail, that sleeping serpent, the sleeping snake at the bottom, Kundalini, should be awakened. Then the Shakti, throwing off her sleep, rises up with force. You follow this? You follow this? By seizing the tail, the sleeping serpent, Kundalini, should be awakened. Then, this is the crucial thing, the Shakti, throwing off her sleep, rises up with force. Rises up with force. Not Shiva, Shakti. Well, I can go on and on. It is just sad and a tragedy that authors of books and yoga teachers with diplomas insist that Shiva is a male god, so represent masculine energy. This book many times tells us differently. Yeah? I've been properly initiated into yoga. Most yoga teachers have not. They just repeat what they learned from another uninitiated teacher. So remember this, because when I started teaching yoga, I also started telling my students, Shakti energy is the masculine element of energy, and Shiva energy is the feminine element of energy. That's what I learned from Ajita. But students then came to me and said, you're wrong, because Shiva is the male god, so that's the masculine element of energy. And so I started to doubt myself. I was confused. So I contacted Ajita after a couple of weeks of confusion, and I thought I have to change all my text and everything, and I got it wrong, and oh my God, they are right, because Shiva is indeed. So I contacted Ajita, and he explained it in detail. And then teaching the Hatha Yoga Pradipika, I came across those texts, and there you have the confirmation. It's correct. We may seem to be wrong, but it's written in those holy books. Don't forget this. And to emphasize that, you have towards the bottom of page 3, there I added an extra section. It's called Shiva and Shakti, the secret of seduction. There I explain a little bit, in other words, with an anecdote, that Shiva, although male, represents feminine energy, while Shakti represents masculine energy. But the secret of seduction has real implications in our daily lives. We talked about this a little bit, not directly referring to this issue, but when we talked about the yin-yang model, where the dark half has a light eye and the light half has a dark eye, every person has a typical balance of feminine and masculine characteristics. When a man has very strong masculine characteristics, he feels attracted to a woman who has very strong feminine characteristics. Together they make harmony. A man who has very feminine characteristics feels attracted and attracts a woman with strong masculine characteristics. Together they make harmony. If you're relatively balanced, I think I am relatively balanced in both feminine and masculine characteristics, I feel attracted and attract a woman who is equally relatively balanced between the feminine and masculine characteristics. And you see the same in gay relationships. When there are two men or two women attracted to each other, you still see that there is one who is more masculine and the other is more feminine, or you see that both are relatively balanced. But if you put two people together who are very masculine or who are both very feminine, it won't work. Whether in a gay relationship or in a straight relationship, it just won't work. Maybe in the beginning because you feel a physical attraction, but a little bit further down the road, it just doesn't work if you both have the same characteristics. That is the secret of seduction. Why do we call it the secret of seduction? If you understand this, to seduce another person, you need to go onto the same wavelength that they are at. So the anecdote here is that Lord Shiva, a male god, if he wants to have attention from his lady Shakti, he will be very kind and soft and feminine. While Shakti is the goddess of dance. When Shakti wants attention from Lord Shiva, she starts to dance, which represents masculine energy. Movement is Shakti energy, is masculine energy. That is what dance represents. In the Middle East, you have belly dance. Belly dance is always done in front of men, not in front of women. It's kind of based on the same idea. So, if you are a man and you want attention from a woman, being rude and being brute and being tough is not going to work. Gentleness, however, may get you the attention that you are craving for. That is the secret of seduction. To go to the wavelength of the person that you want attention from. So very skillful seducers, they do exactly this. They sweet talk and smooth talk and they try to caress your ego, stimulate your ego and get attention in that way. Questions? Next week, we will start discussing the chakras, but every class we will learn a Kriya exercise. The first lesson, I have to explain Kriya and the logic of the system in the Hatha Yoga Pradipika. That will be a little bit longer, but every Kriya exercise just takes 5, maximum 10 minutes to explain. So we're going to work towards pranayama, not as breath control, but as energy control. And the Kriya exercises are the bridge from physical exercise, asana, to mental exercise, pranayama. And the Hatha Yoga Pradipika is clear about their function. They are designed to allow people who have difficulty understanding the concept of energy and how to control that, to allow those people to understand that it is actually possible in a very practical way. Kriya is the bridge between the physical part of yoga and the mental part of yoga. Next time I will explain a little bit more in detail. All right, let's have a short break.